out here for the length of practice. How do you explain three specialist kickers, punters, getting hurt in practice this year? Are you guys pushing them further? Like Jamie, Graham, and Joseph all got hurt in practice. How would you explain that?
Yeah, honestly, unfortunate. Nothing extreme with the workload. You're always going to evaluate when you see just a culmination of injuries like that pile up. So you look at the workload, you look at what you're asking them to do, spacing between games and all that, and it's nothing. It was nothing out of the norm from a general NFL year and a general volume of kicks that they normally take on. One thing that I always make certain of whenever I work with a specialist is, I like to ask them what they're comfortable with in terms of how many kicks, how many punts, how many snaps they're getting normally. For me, that gives a good barometer from them on how to basically get them ready for the game. But a lot of the onus is, on the player to manage that as well. So it's good conversation, early on in the spring, but it's also continuous conversation as we get going in the season.
When you go into like an international game like this, how much do you have to put into how much time the conditions, worrying about that, or is that more of a game day thing for you once you get out there? What you're dealing with as far as punting, kicking, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're always doing advanced scouting. In my opinion, it starts with the stadium, what you're playing on, what the surface is. We're always tracking the weather every single day. What is the crowd noise potential? You always want to know and make our players feel very comfortable with going into a unique environment that they haven't necessarily done or have experience doing so. So a lot of it, as coaches, we try and educate our players early in the week and stay connected throughout the week, because it affects, what type of shoes you wear in the game. It affects maybe your warm-up routine, maybe you walking the field and seeing, okay, this is actually what it looks like. So we're excited to get out there and be able to navigate those situations.
So what are your expectations? Like for field atmosphere, what are you expecting?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, because there is a lot of uncertainty that there's going to be some stuff that is uncharted that we didn't necessarily prep ourselves with. So the game day will be a huge factor, but we're expecting a good field. There's games played on that field. I expect the weather right now to be somewhat moderate, and then crowd noise. I think it's going to be an awesome environment for both sides, regardless of who's home and away. I think it's going to be a good atmosphere where people are going to love seeing football. So we got to anticipate some crowd noise in terms of that.
How do you think Jude did?
Awesome, man. I was fired up for him. A guy that you bring in, and then you, as a group, start to see the maturation, both as a person, understanding the business, and then also as a player. Being very convicted in himself of understanding that he belongs in this league, but also, having the courage to adapt some things and learn from some veterans, to where when he does get his opportunity, he gets to take advantage of that. So to see Jude get his opportunity was awesome. Number one, to see him excel in it was another thing. Knowing that he was ready. He had a lot of confidence going into the game, and I thought he did a nice job for us. So he's a pleasure to have on the team.
You had said back in the summer, asking about the plan that you guys may have had for him, that your message to him in the spring was, I want you to come out here and compete every day, but don't worry about making kicks early on. Just kick. Just keep kicking, and then we'll tally things up at the end. Was that an approach you took from him that almost had to change at some point when you started realizing, he might be in the mix here, or did you just stay consistent?
The message was, I want you to compete and never think just because you're a rookie that you don't have the opportunity to play, because you never know when your opportunity presents itself. So for him, I didn't want him to necessarily start counting the numbers and seeing guys ahead of him. I wanted him to go out and compete for the job. I think ultimately it doesn't matter whether you're a P squad guy, undrafted guy, first round guy, you're always continuously competing to be the best version of yourself. So that way when you get the opportunity, you take advantage of it. So I thought early on Jude, learned from Graham heavily. He did, and I think Graham has been a huge mentor to him as well. But that's not to say that Jude wasn't competing every day, and he did a nice job with that.